Introduce yourself. Jump in. Jump out. Introduce yourself. My name is Kim. Yeah, and I'm in Colombia. Yeah, I'm eating banana bread. Yeah, and I'm a podcaster. Yeah. Jump in. Jump out. Introduce yourself. I said jump in. Jump out. Introduce yourself. Okay, y'all. I'm ready for the things. All right, let me get my screen shared and such. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Lord, I need a producer so bad. I really just want to show up and sit here. I don't want to produce anymore. Lord, send a producer. Lord, send a producer. Lord, send a producer and let them contact me. I need a producer to lighten this load. I'm tired of having to remember everything. Lord, I need it. No. Okay. Y'all enjoy my musical interludes. I made that one on the spot, in case you couldn't tell. All right, y'all, let's get this party started. Hey, y'all, I'm Kimberlyn, and this is the Frolicking Truth, a soft space for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal. Here, joy meets justice. We calm our Black ass nervous systems, we unmask, and we leave behind whatever that is trying to kill us. You're seen here. You're safe here, and you don't have to do this alone. And starting to get a little cooler, and I'm like, okay, I'm noticing, I'm peeping it, but I'm not really thinking anything of it. And then my knees was hurting one day, and I was like, my God, today, how old am I? Like, what is happening here? And then chest, I started feeling like a little extra something going on in my chest. So then I was like, okay, I think we're sick. So I have been. So I've been being very intentional about retaking my master tonic and also like the different teas that I'm using so that I am able to like get myself together. But that's taking a toll on me. I don't like to be sick. I don't know anybody who likes to be sick, but I do not like to be sick. So I've been really just trying to keep myself together and give myself permission to rest. So yesterday when I didn't have no internet, then I was forced to rest because I couldn't do nothing else. And I didn't have no data on my phone. So I literally was just sitting here, just like, well, I guess I'm going to sleep. So, yeah, but I'm on the mend. And I hope that by next week, I'll be like, y'all, I'm 100%. Then my cycle going to come down. Then I'm going to be like, I'm sick of this shit. But anyway, so that is a big update that I wanted to give. The other thing is I wanted to give y'all a Raina update. So I washed Raina on Monday. So I had washed my hair on Monday, and it was so easy. Like I really was able to finish it in like 30 minutes, and that's wild. But also I noticed that, so actually in the episode of Gathered, I had just washed my hair, so it was very much like wet and like just kind of going through the process of drying while we were there. But what I noticed is there's a part of my hair like right here in the front that behaves differently than the rest of my hair. So I clipped it off so that I could easily pick this up and show y'all. So this week I talked with Gail Hutchinson. So Gail is a trauma-informed yoga practitioner out of Chicago. And her brand is called The Joy Yoga. Where did I meet Gail? So I met Gail here in the comments. Actually, is where I met Gail. Is she came across a video that I was in on some expat panel somewhere or something, or somebody in some comments somewhere said, go watch this video. And it was me. So she watched the video and she was like, I'm picking up what she's putting down, okay? Clocking the things. So she left me a comment and she was like, hey, I feel like we align, like, we should connect. And I be reading the comments, right? So I was like, okay, girl, tell me the things. Let's set up a meeting. So we set up a meeting a couple weeks ago. And when I tell you, I was just sitting there like, girl, the Lord sent you to my doorstep. The amount of synchronicities that we have between the different areas of expertise and just the walk of life, like it is so interesting. So anyway, during that conversation I was like, so you coming on the podcast? I didn't ask her, I told her, and she graciously showed up. But the conversation was so good. When we hear trauma informed, what does that mean?
At its core, trauma is a wound to our sense of safety and belonging. I was doing some mindfulness and meditation while working at a large institution during the pandemic. And I could tell we were put in a lot of different cross teams during that time. And so I was working with several different departments, and a young Black man, he was really upset when I used the word trauma. It definitely triggered him. And I think it's because of what you said that we don't really have a good definition of what that is. But healing means restoring the body's ability to feel grounded, for us to feel
Mm-hmm.
connected, and for us to feel whole. And anytime we don't feel safe or we don't feel like we belong, we can experience trauma in the mind and in the
Mm-hmm.
body. It often disrupts our sense of safety and of trust and connection, right? Making it
Mm-hmm.
hard for
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
And it leaves lasting imprints on the brain, on the body, and on our behavior.
So that is going to be airing on September 4th is the day that we are going to do the live premiere of that episode. So you all can mark your calendars now. Let me see what time it's at. Excuse I hate I gotta find better language because I was about to say I hate my eyeballs, and I just can't say that because that is not kind to my eyeballs. But what I hate is the fact that I have entered the phase of life where when I go from here to here, it's adjustment, and it's a lot. It's a lot that's happening, and I also need to get some new glasses because I believe that this prescription is from 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And girl, we at the point where we need to get updated every year. The next premiere of Gathered is on September 4th at 12 p.m. Central Time. That will be 1 p.m. Eastern. So go ahead and mark that down. So let me see. My inner circle. So they in here, they're in the chat. Y'all gonna hear me talking to them while I am here because they are co-creating this episode with me and participating in this episode with me. So if you want to be a part of the inner circle, please go to patreon.com/slash minding my black ass business. That is how you can connect to the inner circle. It is $5 a month. The first 7 days are free, and you get an opportunity to be on the ground floor of this movement that we are in the process of creating. So I invite you to be a part. Even if you don't have the $5, you can sign up for the free Patreon. Sometimes I do push things out to the free place, but that is where the primary communication is going to be coming from. There in email list. Because child, these social media streets is wild out here. And let me tell you who ain't got time. Me. Okay. So I'm really trying to make sure that when things get real crazy, that we have other ways to be able to communicate, support ourselves, be in community, disseminate information. Like it's a lot that needs to happen. So go on over there to the inner circle, patreon.com/slash minding my black ass business. And like the video, y'all. If you haven't done that, go ahead and like it. Go ahead and like it. Go ahead and share the video. Go ahead and subscribe to the page. If you have, let me give y'all an update on the subscribers, baby, because let me tell you. So at 600 subscribers, only because I started out, I think it was about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I made a conscious decision to be like, okay, I'm coming back to YouTube and I'm gonna take it seriously for real. Because when I first started my YouTube page, actually earlier with my inner circle, I was playing the first video that I ever put and uploaded on YouTube was an affirmation video. And it has been a smash hit, and I don't know, there may be like 21,000 or 24,000. Let me look and see, because I don't like to lie. Let me look and see what the actual amount is, so I could tell y'all with accuracy. Also, I very much have people like this in my life where we like to make sure that we accurate with the information that we be giving out. We do not be out here like, oh, it's around that. Let me find that number for you, sis. Let me find that number so we'll know for real. Okay, affirmation video. Let's see what the views are as of today. 25,000. So 25,000 views um as of today. So anyway, I bring that up because I've been over here for a little while, but then some things had popped off when I was talking about education in Pennsylvania. And so I took a really long break from YouTube because the people was trying to get my page shut down. There was a lot that was going on. So about a year ago, I said, okay, I'm coming back to YouTube. I'm going to be really intentional about actually making content for YouTube. So I started out with like 500 subscribers. And then at 600 subscribers, I had did a little twerk fest. Now, this is the thing. This is my confession. I'm from New Orleans, and we are very much known for, well, twerking was something different in New Orleans, so I won't get into the twerk etymology. Okay. But what I will do is say that we are known for shaking that ass in New Orleans, and I did not quite get the shaking that ass gene. And I've lived in, secret for so long. And, I know how to fake it till I make it. But like the actual twerk that ass, shake that ass, I didn't really get that gene like that. So I be trying to figure out how to do it. So anyway, at 600 subscribers, I was like, I'm going to show y'all for real. I don't be knowing how to twerk. Then at 1,000 subscribers, I did another twerk video. So when I get to 1,500, I'm going to bless y'all again. But also, I enlisted help because one of my sorority sisters, that's her ministry. She teaches people how to shake that ass. So I'm following up with her because we need a virtual class. So y'all tell me in the comments if y'all willing to come to the shake that ass class. That's probably not what it's gonna be called, but that feels good in my spirit right now. So we could, because I know some of y'all too might be out there and you like, girl, I'm glad somebody said it, girl, because I don't be knowing. You found your people. All right. So tell me in the comments if you are willing and ready to sign up for the Shake That Ass class um I got people. Okay, so anyway, back to y'all. My ADHD all over the place today. Buckle in, but I promise we getting to a destination. Okay, so I was supposed to be looking up how many subscribers we have. Okay, hold on. Drum roll. That don't sound like a drum. It's okay. Okay, as of today, Wednesday, August 20th, we are at 1,393 subscribers. That means our people are finding us. The algorithm is doing what the algorithm does. Consistency pays off. Okay. And that is thanks to y'all for watching and listening and liking and leaving comments and being here in the live chat. All of that helps to give us and me to people who are looking for communities. So we are at 1,393 subscribers. We'll see on Saturday when we do the live premiere how many subscribers we're at. But when we get to 1,500, I'm going to bless y'all with that shake that ass. Shake it. Watch yourself. Shake your ass. Show me what you're working with. Hey, show me what you're working with. I am so funny. I really be cracking myself up. All right. So anyway, is that all the announcements? I think so. If any more announcements come to my head, I'm gonna tell y'all. I want to get into the auntie check-in, okay? Because it's a lot of things that I've been having to follow back up with y'all about. So one is that I've been sick. And I'm feeling a little bit better today. But I have been sick. I don't know if it's a fever, I mean, of the flu or cold or what. I don't know. But Sunday we were recording, so you don't put syrup on your grilled cheese. And I was like, I think I'm sick. Like just all of a sudden. Because I wasn't doing a good job with my regimen. So I have what's called Master Tonic. And I'm gonna put the recipe over in my Patreon so that you all can make some if you would like. But basically it's like apple cider vinegar and a whole bunch of other stuff that goes in there. And it's an immune booster. So I'm supposed to take it every day. And I had not been doing that. And it has started, I think we might be entering the rainy season. Climate change has been happening. So the seasons have been shifting. But at any rate, around this time, so remember, I'm in South America. So there's not really, and I live in the city of Eternal Springs, so there's also not really a winter per se. It does start to get cooler during certain times of the year. And when it's rainy season is one of the times that it starts to get cooler. So it has been starting to get a little cooler. And I'm like, okay, I'm noticing, I'm peeping it, but I'm not really thinking anything of it. And then my knees was hurting one day and I was like, my God, today, how old am I? Like, what is happening here? And then I feel like my chest, I started feeling like a little extra something going on in my chest. So then I was like, okay, I think we're sick. So I have been. So I've been being very intentional about retaking my master tonic and also like the different teas that I'm using so that I am able to like get myself together. But that's taking a toll on me. I don't like to be sick. I don't know anybody who likes to be sick, but I do not like to be sick. So I've been really just trying to keep myself together and give myself permission to rest. So yesterday when I didn't have no internet, then I was forced to rest because I couldn't do nothing else and I didn't have no data on my phone. So I literally was just sitting here, just like, well, I guess I'm going to sleep. So yeah, but I'm on the mend and I hope that by next week I'll be like, y'all, I'm 100%. Then my cycle gonna come down. Then I'm gonna be like, I'm sick of this shit. So that is a big update that I wanted to give. The other thing is I wanted to give y'all a Raina update. So I watched Raina on Monday. All right. And it was easy. Like this is blowing my mind, y'all. This whole if you wash your hair more frequently is easier thing. So I had washed my hair on Monday. It was so easy. Like I really was able to finish it in like 30 minutes. And that's wild. But also I noticed that so actually in the episode of Gathered, I had just washed my hair. So it was very much like wet and like just kind of going through the process of drying while we were there. What I noticed is there's a part of my hair like right here in the front that behaves differently than the rest of my hair. So I clipped it off so that I could easily pick this up and show y'all. So my hair is pretty much for the most part the same length. Like that's probably a lie. That's probably not true at all because actually I just be cutting indiscriminately. So that's probably a full ass lie. So let me take all of that back. This is the point. This piece of hair right here, it acts very differently than the rest of my hair. So I'm currently in the process of trying to figure out, can y'all see it? Because the blur thing is on. But what happens is it's a little more elongated than the other pieces and it don't really curl the same. So, and I don't really use heat on my hair either. So it's not heat damage. So I'm just really confused about it. So right now I'm just trying to figure out what is happening. Like it might just be that I have two textures or what, I don't know. But that's been interesting. This morning when I got in the shower, I just let the steam kind of, deal with the rest of the hair. But then I intentionally wet this part because I'm like, well, do I need to put more product on it or like what? And mind you, the only products that I have is a curl cream and a leave-in conditioner. That's the only thing that's in it. So Anyway, I'm in the middle of an experiment. So I am figuring out what Raina's journey is and what that looks like. And then I'll update y'all on the things. Okay. Next update that I told y'all that I would have is brand bestie updates. So me and my brand bestie meet every 2 weeks because I've been needing time in the middle of that to like get things together. But this is what I want to say about having a brand bestie, baby. Especially when your brand bestie is tapped in and invested in what you are doing, is the way that the ideas be coming up. Like we were talking the other day, and she was like, "That's a t-shirt. That's it is." That I like that kind of energy. It just gets me so excited because that's how I work as well. Is somebody will be talking and I'm like, that's a podcast. That's a this. So my brand bestie is really challenging me, but also supporting at the same time, which is safe. Like it's safe to be able to be challenged when you also know that you're not doing it by yourself and like you're not walking this alone. So I'm really, really, really enjoying this process. So, child, I've been out there on the streets, honey. Like, y'all need to get y'all a brand bestie, baby, brand bestie, baby, brand bestie, baby. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna put the link to book time. She does free consultations. Okay. So I'm going to put the link for y'all to book time to be able to get your life together, but also be ready to get your life together. Don't be going over there playing. Don't be going over there playing. Okay, because if y'all tell her that I sent you, then that means that you need to be ready to get it popping because she gonna get you right. She gonna get you together real quick. Okay, so make sure that you walking up over there ready to get it popping. All right, so if you ready to get it popping, holla at my brand bestie. The link is in the description. Okay, all right. Now, what's the next thing? Oh, I wanted to tell y'all. So I don't have comments from the YouTube that I want to highlight, but I do have a comment that somebody sent to me that I did want to highlight because it really touched my soul. I love when you break in the song. Okay, song. I'm over here making a mixtape, y'all. It's about to go down. All right, so I want to read y'all this comment that somebody sent to me, or it's a message actually. And this is someone that I know here in Colombia. This is actually a chef that I know here in Colombia. We have the same birthday. So when we figured that out, it was like, oh my gosh, like you are going to be my new BFF. So anyway, we kind of talk, every so often or whatever, but I had reached out to him to ask him about a recipe. And so we had a conversation about the recipe, and then he checked back in and he was like, how, did the recipe go and like all of that. Well, in that same conversation, I said, I appreciate you for responding because I've told y'all before, eating is one of the things that I struggle with sometimes, especially when I have a lot going on or when I'm stressed out. Eating be the first thing to go. If it's eat or sleep, I'm going to sleep. I have 3 weeks before I starve to death. I'm straight. We'll try again tomorrow. That is literally the way that I be operating in the world. So anyway, him being a chef, food is important, right? So I was like, thank you. Eating is something that I struggle with, whatever. And I said, I, just appreciate you for taking the time to respond. So he said, if God does it for me, why can't I take a few minutes to take care of you like you did with me? Even if you don't know it, you gave me joy when I was sad, and you gave color to these gray days. Thank you. And that really touched me because my life's motto has been, and actually, I really feel like I get this from my mother, even though she did not do this in practice. But she basically would raise us to leave things better than you found them. Like if you go to somebody's space, leave it better than you found it, is what she would say. I adopted that to really talk about people and leaving people better than you found them. So every exchange that I have with somebody, I really tried my best to be very present and to deposit something that will outlive this interaction. And I don't necessarily like be looking for those moments, but I know that they happen because that's who I am. we were hanging out at the market, and he was like showing me different ways to be able to get different things, different spice stores, and like all kind of stuff. He was tipping me to the things. And I, was really appreciative of that. I also, though, I was very appreciative of what he was doing for me. I was not thinking about what I was doing for him. So for him to say that, I was like, thank you. Because that is what I always want to do. I always want to make sure that I'm leaving people better than I found them. And it is a much more intentional thing that I do these days because of some of the experiences that I have had. So, shout out to Chef David, and I appreciate you for that message. Then I got another message, or someone told me the other day. So we have this podcast universe that I'm a part of, and it's about five or six of us that are building a podcast. And I think I've talked about it a little bit here before. But anyway, we had a meeting, and one of the ladies was like, I need to give you your flowers because, girl, I listened to one of your videos and sis, you got a fan in me, sis. She was like, you be talking that talk. And I just want to say thank you for that. So I want us to get into the habit of giving people their flowers while they are here and while they can appreciate it. I've told y'all before, I don't want no funerals. So if you got something to say to me, child, you're gonna have to say it while I'm here, okay? Because we not having no funeral. Okay. But I think a lot of times what happens is we get into this lurker energy, and it's weird. I'm gonna just call it what it is. It's weird because if somebody is impacting you, how much time really does it take for you to say thank you for saying that, or I appreciate that, or double tapping, or leaving a heart, or leaving a comment? It really doesn't take a lot of energy in the grand scheme of things, and for you it might feel like it's whatever and it doesn't matter, but that is what keeps people like myself going, because that is the work that we are intentionally doing. And the question is always, is this registering? Like, is this coming across? So when you have the opportunity to tell people that they made an impact in your life, tell them, because it means the world. Okay. So thank y'all. They're giving me sunflowers in the chat. So now would be a great time. And that is one of the ways that I receive love, especially in these virtual spaces, is through things like just leaving a sunflower. That just says a lot. Like, I get it. I see you. Yes, that, clock it, applause the things. Okay. So, anyways, I wanted to share both of those things as well. All right, so let's get into our Truth Is segment today. Okay, so I'm gonna take y'all on a little field trip with me. And this field trip started at a memory. So, what I love about pictures and videos, and the fact that I have spent a very significant portion of years being on the internet, is that you're able to go back and see the journey from whence you've come. And somebody actually that I'm Facebook friends with has shared this video because her best friend was one of the people that were in the video. And she was like, oh my God, this was so good. Like, thank you so much. My best friend is T, like all of that. And what the video was the first thing that I ever really produced. And that was with when I was with Beautiful Brown Girls. And that was a Beautiful Brown Girls mental health panel. This was August 15th of 2018. So what's that? 8 years ago. My gosh, that is crazy. But that's right? 25, 8, 7 years ago? 18. 7 years ago. Lord Jesus, the math wasn't mathing. So 7 years ago, I produced this mental health panel. So I wanted to show y'all just a little piece of it. And this was over on Facebook back when I had shows over there on the Facebook. All right, so In this mental health panel, Shakina is one of my sorority sisters. Felicia is a Fiskite, so she also went to Fisk. And then Disha is someone that I met through Beautiful Brown Girls because I was like, I'm looking for people to talk about mental health. And she reached out and she was like, I would love to. So, anyway, I wanted to give y'all just a quick snippet of what we were talking about.
Can you talk to us about the difference between mental health and mental illness? Because I feel like those two things are often seen as one and the same.
So, opinion. This is my opinion. I think if it's more of connotation, denotation, like when you think of a word, the dictionary definition of that word is the denotation, and the emotional attachment to that word is the connotation. So, I think when people hear the word mental illness, they are thinking about serious mental illness, people with schizophrenia, significant trauma, borderline personality, things like that. I'm going to use the C word, which I hate, quote unquote, crazy people. Hate it. Don't say it in front of me because I'll correct you. Um, so people think those types of things when they think of mental illness, which is why they don't think about things like wellness or adjustment or improving relationships or just get some stuff off your chest when they think about mental health and mental health care. Opinion. I'll start with opinion. I end with opinion.
I agree with that opinion. For me, I think that mental health is emotional and psychological stability. Okay. And that looks like being able to manage life stressors because life happens, things happen in life every day, all day. And so being able to function, being able to do everything that you need to do in spite of those stressors. And when we have problems with our functioning, that's when the mental illness portion starts to come through.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like to look at it as mental illness is a disruption of your mental health. And that can be something on, the low end of anxiety, depression, all the way to, suicidal ideation or a different type of diagnosed mental illness. So, having a disruption in your mental health can lead to a mental illness, but they aren't interchangeable.
Right. Okay.
So I'm gonna pause it right there just because I don't want it to take up too much time. But this was the first thing that I ever produced because what I saw is that, yeah, I used to wear contacts too. I used to have contacts in all the time. Like I hardly ever wore my glasses in public. It's been a journey, and there's definitely a story behind that. But anyway, so what I had started seeing during that time was that there was a lot of conversation and misinformation that was happening around mental health. And I really felt like I needed to go to like some experts and be like, so what is this actually? Because, I had just recently, so this was 2018. So I was like almost out of the abusive relationship that I have been in. So I have been in therapy and like I really have been doing this work to heal myself so that I could get free. And I became just really aware of how many people were in situations and their mental health was not well, but we didn't talk about things. So I said, okay, what be the change you want to see? So let's go ahead on and produce this mental health panel. And I'm really proud of that. Like it really took me back a while because I forget sometimes the things that I have done and the intentional decisions that I have made. I often forget to like sit there for a moment and like honor that and just really be in that space. So it kind of took me down memory lane. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, well, I've always been in these spaces where I'm looking to uplift women and I'm looking to show up for other women. And I want to make sure, again, I'm leaving people better than I found them. So the other day, I was talking with someone and they asked me, how did you become this person? And again, going down the lived experiences to like try to pinpoint that was kind of a lot because they said to me, they were like, I'm not really passionate about like some things, and like you be real passionate. So I'm curious, like how you became this person. So as I was thinking about it, I was like, well, I've always been passionate. Like I've always been, and this is, that tism, if you will. But one of the characteristics of people who are autistic is that there's a strong sense of justice and fairness, and like wanting things to be right, and wanting words to match actions, and like all of that. And people don't really be operating in that way. We've talked about that a few times because people be lying. People lie, receipts don't. Shout out to Bianca. So, I know that there's always been in me a desire to want for the right thing to happen. But there's also always been in me this desire to feel connected because I grew up living a very disconnected life. I was always around people and often in friend groups, but often invisible. And it was weird because people would very much rely on what I say, but also not necessarily take a vested interest in me as a person. So there are a lot of times that I've been in friend circles where people benefited from me, but they weren't really invested in me. And that always left me feeling deprived of connection. Basically, it's being used is basically what it is. But it left me feeling deprived of connection. So I've always looked for places where I'm able to feel connected to people, because that definitely is like a core need for all of us. And a lot of that explains like my journey and why I've done certain things that I've done, and why I show up in the ways that I have. So I don't know where y'all are picking up with me on this journey, but I'm gonna give you a little background, and I'm gonna say some things, and then you're gonna have to go do your research. Also, I was in the shower today and I was like, they really just need to go Google me. And I don't remember the first time that I said that to somebody. I feel like somebody was playing with me, and I was like, girl, go Google me and stop playing with me. Like, go see who you talking to before you come over here. But also, I've said this a few times here, go Google me. Go Google me. I believe it is very important for you to know who you are talking to and who you are listening to, and what agenda, if you will, that that person has, because you can't be listening to everybody, right? And to my point, I haven't been out here on the internet for a long time, haven't been doing this work for a long time. I have a long track record of the type of work that I have done and the types of things that I've said, even as my understandings have evolved, and even as I have worked to become a more aware person and a more intentional person. I don't like, I'm not team delete videos. Like if I said it, I said it. And also I may have grown since then, but yep, that was me. That was me, sure enough. Like I tell y'all, I used to be really judgmental. I used to damn people to hell. Like I was miss saying no to drugs. It was a lie. And I'm just not that person anymore. And life experience has really evolved me. But nonetheless, I think it is very important for us to know who we are talking to and who we are getting information, whatever, from. Because if it don't align, baby, it's I bid you adieu. I really realize I am not for everybody. Another word that came into my mind this morning was polarizing, because, and usually that word is used in a very negative context. But when I say polarizing, I want to be polarizing because I want you to be very clear what's finna happen over here. Don't come over here with that weird energy, right? That's just not something that I'm doing. I'm not tolerating it. I'm not making space for it. I'm not even trying to make space for ignorance and people who are committed to causing harm. Like I'm not doing any of that. So I am really intentional about being clear about who I am, what I do, how I show up, because I want you to know that if you choose to stay over here, that you stand with purpose. Okay. I'm not into misrepresenting myself and tricking people in the side. I'm not with all that. Okay. I ain't with all that. So anyway, I don't know why I felt like I need to make that re-announcement just now, but do with it what you will. So I mentioned earlier that I started this page and I talked about my affirmation video. That's the first video I ever put out. The next thing that I put out on this page was my school improvement in Pennsylvania series. And that was me talking about the things that were happening in education behind the scenes that I had seen working with the Department of Education and how bad it was and the things they had did to me. And like, it was a lot. So then I started that. Then I told you the people that tried to get the YouTube taken down, they tried to get the cease and desist, they tried all sorts of things. So then I went quiet for a little bit. In between that time, I also had a severe mental health crisis. So July 25th of 2023, I shut everything down. And then I didn't come back until 2024 with Heal That Shit and So You Don't Put Syrup on Your Grilled Cheese. Right before that, there was an event that happened that I really didn't get a chance to talk about too much because a lot of other things were happening. So I want to show y'all a clip. So this is a clip from Brownversations, which was one of my talk shows that I had on Beautiful Brown Girls. And this is Sab. We hosted Brownversations for 6 years. So anyway, this is a clip from the show. To our mental health moment, I have a really important announcement. Oh my God, I have an important announcement that I want to share with everybody.
Yes,
so our mental health moment, we always have this because it's important for us to make sure that we are paying attention to our mental health and all the things. So how many of you all are familiar with Therapy for Black Girls? Please tell us in the comments. This is a site that Sav and I use religiously. We are often scanning Therapy for Black Girls, even as we are thinking about how we are going to bring programming to you all. And here we have pictured the founder of Therapy for Black Girls, Dr. Joy Harden Bradford. Well, Dr. Joy has done this labor of love. I believe Therapy for Black Girls was founded maybe in 2014. And she has done this labor of love and just really poured out. She has a podcast, like all of these things that have spun out of Therapy for Black Girls. Well, she also just finished writing her very first book. It's called Sisterhood Heals. And let me tell y'all something. This book is everything. When I tell you this book, Sisterhood Heals, I'm on chapter 7 right now. And I had to get the audiobook and because I wanted to hear it, right? I have wept, y'all. And I mean wept from the depths of my soul about how we can heal our sister circles. And you all know here at Beautiful Brown Girls, that's something that's important to us. That's why we are in existence, in order to create these sister circles for people, for women to be able to come together and support each other and hold each other up. So this book that Dr. Joy has written is a game changer. Like, I would not tell you a lie, okay? It is really, really good. And she has gone on tour. So she has already been in New York. She was in New Orleans during Essence Festival. She's going to be going to Atlanta, Miami, as well as Houston. And someone you all may or may not know is going to be joining her on tour.
Congratulations, Kimberlyn. I'm so proud of you. So very proud of you. Do you guys know they reached out to Kimberlyn? They reached out.
They did. They slid in my DMs, y'all. They slid in my DMs and basically said that they had run across an episode of Brownversations and they dug a little deeper and they were like, would you please join us on the Miami stop of the book tour to moderate a fireside chat with Dr. Joy about her new book, Sisterhood Heals. And when I tell y'all, I am elated. Every time I think about it, I start screaming. Like, I'll just be like, I can't believe this is happening. I have dreamed about meeting Dr. Joy and being affiliated with Therapy for Black Girls since I knew about it. And that was somewhere around when it first came out in 2014-15. It holds a special place in my heart. I found my therapist through Therapy for Black Girls. Like, I love this site. And I had a secret desire, but never said it out loud to anybody, that I wanted to meet Dr. Joy, that I wanted to be a part of Therapy for Black Girls and what she is doing. So for them to slide into my DMs, it is nothing but God. Like, because I did not reach out to them. Like, that was nothing but God that was like, girl, let me go ahead on and make this happen for you, because it's possible.
So that means when you ladies share this, the fact that they found this and they dug a little deeper into conversations and what we're about, that means it's someone that they found, because we're out there, y'all. So this is not Kimberly, but I just want to say that we're out there. Yeah. We're out there because of you ladies.
Yes. That was such a big deal for me, because Therapy for Black Girls, I mentioned it there. Therapy for Black Girls was really instrumental in helping me to find therapists over the years. And it was really like a dream come true. So I went down to Miami and I met Dr. Joy, and we did the event, and it was so amazing. So the book, Sisterhood Heals, is, when I still stand by this 10 toes down, that book has the ability to be able to heal relationships that we have with other women, because it really gets into how we developed the idea and understanding of what a sisterhood actually is, and how we are supposed to show up in sisterhood and community with other people. And when I was reading it, I immediately called two of my sorority sisters, and I was like, we need this. Because I feel energy, I very much can feel like when people are not okay, even if they're not saying anything. So I just felt that like so heavy in my spirit during that time. And I was like, we really need this. And I think this will be amazing for us to do a book study. And they were willing to do that book study with me. But unfortunately, shortly after that, I wound up having my mental health crisis, and I had to shut everything down. So this memory had come back up, and I was like, I really never took the time to kind of like really talk about what happened and like how that time was, with specifically in the Sisterhood Heals container. I have talked a lot about what else happened on that trip, but that particular container was just so affirming for me. So Dr. Joy is from Louisiana, so we were able to have conversations about home, and she very much gives the same energy that she presents in the different spaces that she houses, with Therapy for Black Girls, the Therapy for Black Girls podcast, and Sisterhood Heals. So I said all that to say, I want to do a book study. It's some healing that we need to do. It's some healing that we need to do with our relationships with each other, and our relationships with our own understanding of what sisterhood means and how we show up in sisterhood. So I want to do a book study. So I would like for you all to go into the description, and I would like for you to sign up to let me know if you are willing to be a part of the book study. And there are a few different ways that we're able to do it. So, we could do it like a Zoom type thing. We could do it where I talk about a chapter and then you all meet in the comments and talk about it. Like, there are a few different modalities, if you will, that we are able to do this in. But I really feel called and have felt called for a long time to get this off the ground, so it has come back up with purpose. That's the main thing that I wanted to say about that, and really just giving ourselves permission to have those difficult conversations, and giving ourselves permission to be able to be vulnerable and have a space to be vulnerable, to talk about it. Because, and again, this is where I can say, I don't know what this looks like for the brotherhood. Okay, I don't know. But I know as women, we are, connection is what we are really looking for and seeking. But also, many of us have never learned how to be sisters. We never, even if we had sisters, that doesn't mean that we were sisterly to our sisters. And what does that mean to show up as a sister? What does that mean to provide a safe space for people to feel to feel like they can show up as themselves. To the point of not knowing how to show up as sisters, I need to come over here to my notes, all right? Because it's some things, y'all, that's been going on, child, in life. We got to talk about this, okay? So I have been, I'm always doing an experiment. I'm always doing some field research or whatever. And I told you that the title of this episode is The Illusion of Sisterhood. And a lot of it is because of what I just said, is that we have never really received instruction about how to show up in a way that is affirming and caring and all of that. So I did put out a call this morning to a couple of people that I have sisterhood spaces with, if you will. And I asked them to describe for me or to come up with some words that they felt describe the space that we had created. So I'm going to read some of these words to you that have come back to me. Okay. So safe, fun, accountable, inspiring. I feel seen and aligned. Let me go to another one. Safe, calm, grounding. I always learn something about myself when we are here. Let me go to another one. You always ask the right questions that get me thinking beyond the surface. I've never had that opportunity before. So I still have a few others that I'm waiting on to roll in, but that's the first sample. And what I know is that I have created those spaces with intentionality because I have been in many spaces where people claimed that they were sisters and they were not. And it's jarring. I've talked about before how, I've been in spaces and I'm like, these people really don't like me, actually. That's wild, and it's not even something that I've done because I'm going to ask. Like, I'm like, is there something that I've done? Did I offend you in some type of way? Like, is there something we need to talk about? Because also, people are not necessarily forthcoming with that information either. So I like to be intentional. Like, did I do something to cause harm? Because if I did, can we talk about that? Because I value this relationship. But then after all of that coming out of that and being like, damn, they really don't even like me. That is some crazy. And I've been in relationship with you for all these years, and you don't even care if I'm alive. Wow. Wow. Right? And that is not what sisterhood looks like for me. So one of the things that I want us to do is to create like a working list of ways that we want to be intentional in having in our community and our spaces so that we are able to show up more authentically and have spaces that are actually safe. So my best friend Bianca and so when I met her, she was developing Teaching for the Culture, which is her educational advocacy company. And I work over there in doing that work and everything. And on the ground floor of Teaching for the Culture, she was like, we need some core beliefs. Like, we need some core things that we really need to have in place. So she calls them the three keys. And the three keys are accountability, transparency, and integrity. So even on our podcast, Heal That Shit, we talk about that. Like, if you cannot adhere to that, this is not the space for you, right? So I started writing down, like, what were the different characteristics that I would need. And I would love for y'all to help me in the comments to bring up some more. So I have accountability, transparency, integrity. I also have vulnerability because people can be transparent without being vulnerable. Let's have a vocabulary lesson right quick because I think it is necessary for us to make sure that we are on the same page with words. You know why? Because words mean things. Okay, I believe we had an episode that was called that. So, accountability basically boils down to someone being responsible for their actions. We're going to come back to that one in a second. Okay. So, that's accountability. So, now let's go to transparency. Transparency, the quality of allowing light to pass through so that objects behind can be distinctly seen. So for example, a window, right, is transparent. But I was like, how do I want to make this make sense? Because the other definition is the quality of being easy to perceive or detect. I think it is important when we are showing up in a safe space for us to be open, to be able to be seen. right? So transparency means that I am going to say the things. I am going to make it plain, make it clear so that someone doesn't have to perceive or someone doesn't have to try to figure out and do. I hate when somebody be trying to have you do riddles and jigsaw puzzles. Child, I ain't got time. I'm not doing it. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Please. Okay? And if you cannot do that, shut up. So anyway, integrity. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one else is watching, right? So being the same person in different spaces. Then when we talk about vulnerability, let's get to that one. When you are vulnerable, it is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. Now, this might sound like a negative thing, but when you are vulnerable, you are opening yourself up in a way that if this was not a safe space, that someone could use that information to be able to cause harm. The importance of having the safe spaces to be able to be vulnerable is because there are certain things that are lying underneath the surface that we may need to elevate, but we haven't been able to do that because we are around people that want to cause harm. But if you are in a space where people are able to hold what you are saying with intention and care, it allows you to be able to bring up some of those things that you've been trying to work out on your own, right? So in a sisterhood, in a community, it is extremely important to not just be transparent, yes, say the things, but also be vulnerable in that I'm going to show up with my things and I'm also going to create space for you to show up with your things in the heart of the matter, getting to the core of the things. One of the other words I wrote down was intentionality. I don't want to be in a relationship with nobody that ain't intentionally being in a relationship with me. And it's why I do post checks so often. Like I be telling people, because if it's time for you to get off, go on and take your exagram. Because I don't like to feel like I'm pulling people to be a part of my life. And like that's not a good feeling for me. So intentionality is like actually making choices, decisive decisions about how and why and who and what this looks like, and not just doing things all willy-nilly. I can't stand a willy-nilly ass somebody. Okay? Like have some intention about yourself. Even if your intention is to be spontaneous and fun and take a brain field trip, let that be the intention. But don't be out here all wayward and you ain't got no guidance or direction for what's happening. Okay? I can't do it. I can't do it, all right? And then I also wrote down here, I couldn't necessarily boil this down to one word, but I said commitment to get the answers. And for me, that really means like commitment to boiling down to the root of the thing and not giving up on a relationship because things get difficult. So there are times where one person may be holding more than the other, or there's some type of narrative that has been created in the absence of understanding. And those types of things can create chasms in a relationship. I want to be in relationship and community with people that are willing to get the answers. Like they're willing to sit down and say, I don't know what, but let's work together to figure out how we can show up better for each other. So there's mutual accountability, there's vulnerability and sharing how you're actually feeling. Those are the kind of people that I want to be in relationship with. And what I have realized, friends, is that that is not common. People do not be having these kind of relationships. People do not be having agreements in how they're going to be in relationship with other people. And I think that this is something that needs to be at the top of the list. Bianca always says, what does she call it? DTR, I think she calls it, define the relationship conversation. So really being intentional about saying, this is what I would like this relationship to look like. And this is how I want to show up in this relationship. This is what I need from you. Are you able to do that? What happens if we don't have capacity? How are we going to give grace to each other? This is how we have mature relationships that help us to grow and deepen our emotional intelligence, which I have also discovered is not common. We talked about SEL before, social emotional learning, and I've told you all about the 5 competencies, and I'll say them again and put the graphic here so you'll see it. self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, positive relationship skills, and responsible decision making. Those are key components of emotional intelligence and how we need to show up for ourselves and for other people in this world. And a lot of people walking around emotionally ignorant, emotionally constipated, okay? You got so much feeling that you need to do and you ain't felt nothing, and you just letting all of that and taking that out on other people because you haven't given yourself permission to feel. Girl, let it out. Find a safe space to be able to say, this is what I have been carrying, so that you can unclog that channel. Okay? Because in order for us to be able to exist in a sisterhood, exist in community, we really have to be able to allow ourselves to be free to flex and flow and receive and give and exchange. They say emotionally constipated. Yes, you backed up. You backed up. You got 40 years of emotions that you need to get out, and you ain't done that, honey. Go get you an emotional enema. For reals though. So I wanted to preface this whole discussion with all of that because I was frolicking in the feed this week, and there's a classmate of mine from Fisk University who is a TikToker. And this is very much a if you know type of thing. Okay, so if you know, go you if you want to tap in, go do your research. But I'm gonna give you the high of it. What I'm not gonna do is use names. Okay, so I'm not using names. I'm not showing videos, but if y'all want to go do your own research, feel free to do that because everybody here is not from Fisk. So I have a college classmate of mine. She's been in the media before. She wrote a book. She has been on morning news outlets and things like that. Lost a significant amount of weight, and a lot of her content is about travel. And she also talks about her relationship with her family. So her family, she's from DC. So her family is very much connected to government. And I would also call her a whistleblower. I don't know if she calls herself a whistleblower, but this is Kimberly's words. Let me be clear. Because listen, let me, before I say anything else, don't come over here in my comments with no foolishness and fuckery. Because when I tell you I'm not with it, I'm not. I will just block you and do a mental funeral. Okay? I'm letting y'all know that now. I'm not with it. So if you're coming over here, you better come with your intelligence intact. So anyway, when I said that she's a whistleblower, a lot of her content, she talks about the Black political scene in DC. And it is just as corrupt as what them white people be doing. Because this is the thing, side note, I am at the point that if you in politics, you ain't right, period. Because politics has a way of tainting people. I don't believe that when people go into politics that they are going into it with the wrong intentions, though many of them do. But I do believe that many politicians get into politics because they want to do what's right. The issue, though, is when you get in there, you really have to make compromises with people's lives that become unbearable. And so my girl Shekinah got me watching House of Cards. Very much, very much. If you've seen it, very much accurate. Very. Okay. So anyway, so she her content talks a lot about the DC Black political scene and how corrupt it is. And when I tell you sis be calling names, sharing pictures, like she telling the things. And a lot of it comes because her mother is someone that is in those roles. And her mother is also, she has said, a narcissist, right? Now, I can relate to that because I also have a mother who is a narcissist. So, a lot of her content I really relate to because it is a healing process to really process that you grew up in a family, in a home with a mother that actually does not even like you. Now, that's the biggest woe. Because earlier, when I was talking about in our friend groups, when we be like, wow, that's crazy. Imagine your own mother. Your own mother. It's wild. And a lot of people don't get it, and a lot of people minimize it, and a lot of people, that's still your mama, you, and like all of that, right? So I have been very intentional in making sure that, I've let her know I see you, I understand, you're not crazy, not that she need me to validate it, but girl, if ever something came into your mind that was telling you that you was crazy, you not, because I know, I understand. But sis be producing receipts, okay? So she's real big over on TikTok. Okay. Now I don't really be on TikTok like that. Okay, I go over there, but that's not really my place. I be here on the YouTubes, and I really don't even be on Facebook like that anymore, to be honest. But I go over there sometimes to say certain things. So by the time things get to Facebook, it's late. Apparently, she does lives over on TikTok. She did a live, and somebody asked her in the live, did she pledge? And she said, I am paraphrasing, okay? But she basically said, no, they rejected me. I'm a reject from the AKAs, and they rejected me, but I still like pink, I think is where she cut off the clip. Now, this was an excerpt out of a live that she was doing, a Q&A or whatever the topic of her live was. Again, I don't be over there on TikTok, so I don't know. So on the Facebook clip, it was a lot of conversation, right? So people like, why you talking about this now? Like, what you mean? And just because you like pink and da da da. And then it was also stuff like, well, it's not too late. Like, you don't have to, just because they didn't take you in undergrad, you could still do grad, like all of that. So let me pause here for a quick tutorial on Black Greek letter organizations. Okay. So there are 9 Black Greek letter organizations. I'm going to name them off in order of founding year. All right. So there is Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, that's mine, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, and Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. Okay? All right. So in Black Greek life, many people come into Black Greek life in undergrad, in college. And then you work in college or whatever, you graduate, and then there are also alumni chapters. People are also able to join the organization through alumni chapters. Okay. But being a part of these organizations, you had to have been in college, you had to have a certain GPA, community service. These are all community service organizations. Also, all of our organizations are lifetime commitments. So unlike white Greek letter organizations, that's kind of a college thing, and then they be off that. With our organizations, they are lifetime commitments. So having said that, some people join in undergrad, some people join in grad school. So basically the people in the comments were like, sis, be encouraged. You can still join in grad school. Okay. So then she makes another video, or maybe it was the same, I don't know, but another clip comes out. And in this clip, she says, I actually never wanted, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, they only had to tell me no one time, and then I was off of that. So I appreciate y'all. There are many of my amazing classmates and women that have shown up for me over the years that are part of these organizations. But for me, I'm straight, right? Okay. So then apparently what happened, because I don't remember if she said the chapter. She might have said the chapter, because also she isn't really claiming Fisk either. So I've seen in her comments sometimes where she'll be like, people be like, what school was this? And she's like, I don't name the school. I'm disillusioned with them, basically. So I don't know if she said the chapter or if somebody saw the video, Fisk, and was like, this is this chapter. Either way, What happened is the AKAs from the chapter go into her comments and her DMs and start leaving the ugliest comments. I am talking, I was like, oh my. So then at some point, and I might be getting things reversed of what happened first or what happened second, but at some point, she tells a story about something that happened to her on campus. And she said it was her freshman or sophomore year. So, mind you, this is either 1999, 2000, okay, 25 years ago. And again, these are in responses to questions people are asking her, right? So she is responding to the things that the people are saying. So she says there was one time that I was walking on campus. And so I told y'all the 9 Greek letter organization. Something else that we have is called plots. So a plot is an area where that organization gathers. It's like their sacred ground, if you will. So each organization has a plot. And usually the plot might have benches, or it might have a tree, or it might have a grassy area. She's my peer. We went to the same class. We graduated in the same class. So we were there at the same time. Like I have pictures with her. Like we was there sitting. Hey girl, how you doing? So each organization has a plot. So she tells a story about she was walking on the yard one day, and mind you, everybody's not familiar with Greek life. So that's why I'm telling you a lot of these things, because these are some invisible rules that if you didn't come from this world, you don't know. Like, so basically, the way that the plot was set up at our school, it was like a large grassy area, and then they had a table with some benches, and then they have like a sign or a stone area that shows their organization. Okay. So when she was a freshman or a sophomore, her and a friend had walked onto the plot to take a picture or something like that, and they were told that they weren't supposed to be on the plot. And what happened is one of the young ladies in the organization, so this is AKA while this is happening, one of the young ladies in the organization, my classmate, claims that she took off her belt and started running towards her like she was going to whip her because she had been on the plot. Okay. So then after that happened, now they go back in her comments. Like, why you saying my line sister's name? Why are you bringing this up damn near 30 years later? And why da 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 da, right? From Fist. But then there are other AKAs who are, and I'm not just gonna say AKAs, but I'm gonna say other Greeks, other Black Greeks that are also like, sounds like you just mad because you got rejected. Sounds like you just bitter. Why you still talking about this so long ago? This happened in 1999, 2000. You ain't over this yet. Sound like you're salty. Sound like you never got over being rejected. So my classmate is responding. Now she gonna respond to her comments. Okay, now if sis ain't gonna do nothing, baby, she gonna be in them comments responding. And very much not placating to the energy that's coming at her. So the president of the chapter at the time gets in her comments, who is a psychologist, and says, that was my line sister and this didn't happen and da da da. So then my classmate is like, you actually apologized to me at the time for this. Well, I don't really remember apologizing. I probably did if I was the president, but also basically you need to stop talking about this. So then that gets into an ugly exchange, and I'm talking weight shaming and like all kind of stuff. Like it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So I want to grab a couple of these comments. Some people have a real problem with accountability. It's my truth. I can literally tell it whenever I want. WTF. And it's her page. Exactly. So people messaging me in the background and they like, Kimberly, have you seen this, this, and this? And I'm like, yeah. Like I've been following her this whole time. She's on her healing journey. However that might manifest, it's a lot. And also this situation as well. Apparently they're pissed. And I don't know where it's escalated to from there. I have like 2 day old information, so it might have got worse from there. But these are the things because I wrote down some notes. Okay, I wrote down some because I need us to understand this with clarity. And when I tell you, y'all could clip this and send this wherever you want to send it, because I mean what I'm saying, and I don't say nothing that I'm not willing to repeat. Okay, you cannot control how someone shares their lived experiences and whether they choose to share your specific name or not. You cannot control that. I often say if you wanted somebody to talk better about you, then you should have treated them better. But I want to also add an addendum to that because you ain't no better at the time, right? You was 19, 20, however old that you were. At the time, you did what you thought was best at that time. When you know better, you do better. Okay? So for us to be 25 years, 22 years out of college, to still be behaving this way on the internet because somebody is choosing to share their lived experience, it's a no for me. And we're talking about people that are mental health specialists. Oh my, concern. All that had to be done was, damn, I probably did do that. And also, I want to apologize because that was not the way to handle that. So this is something that I know. You know how I know? Because I pledged a sorority. Because I work in circles with people who are in sororities. In college, shit be happening that fucks people up for their whole life behind trying to pledge, even people that did make it over to the other side. There is still stuff about my process that I do not actively remember. And next year, it will be 25 years that I have been a part of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We are putting 19 and 20-year-olds in charge of people's well-being and mental safety. And some people just be drunk off of power. So believing that somebody tried to whip somebody while they were, I absolutely believe it. And I was there on campus at the time. I know the kind of wild shit that was happening because the shit was happening to me. So how dare you come back onto the scene because you mad that somebody said your name about something that you did at the time when you did it and not take accountability for what you did. So now, two of the psychologists are messaging other AKAs because this is the other thing I didn't say. So our organizations are international. So we have several chapters across the US at different schools and different cities as well as abroad. Okay. So there's like big sorority and then there are chapters. Okay. So now there are AKAs from other chapters who are like chiming in, and anybody that shows my classmates support, they messaging them on the side. Hey, Soror, let me send you a message. Hey, so what you about to say? What are you saying? What are you saying? I need you to know this. I got my notes. There is no statute of limitations on when someone can share their experiences or hurt. There is no statute of limitations on when someone can share their experiences or hurt. It's very much giving rape culture and silencing. And that is very much concerning to me, especially when we're talking about people who are mental health specialists. You cannot control how someone chooses to share their lived experience. What you can control is what you choose to take accountability for that your younger self might have did. I told y'all I don't believe in deleting videos. And I've had to go back to many a person and be like, I am very sorry for the way that I treated you because at the time I was thinking X, Y, and Z, but that is no excuse. Because what I have realized at this point is that I should have respected you. I shouldn't have judged you. I shouldn't have sent you to hell with gasoline drawers on because I was doing a lot of that. Accountability is necessary. What's the next thing I wrote down here? Hold on. Denying harm doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It is possible to cause great harm and completely forget about it while it remains in someone else's active memory. Now, I don't know if this was a situation that was in my classmate's active memory or if it was brought up by the question that was asked. And it was like, matter of fact, how, this one time, because I'm good for that, honey. I got stories for days. Okay. So it could have been that situation, or it could be something where she has thought about it before. Like, that's wild. Them girls ain't even want me. Right? But either way, you denying that the harm happened don't mean that it didn't happen. And it is very easy for us to cause somebody harm and move on with our life like ain't shit happened. And now that person is holding all of that in whatever way that they are holding it or sharing it or processing it or whatever. I would expect mental health specialists to know that and to honor that and abide by that. That's what I would expect. And that might be naive of me. That might be silly of me to be having that type of feeling. But I'm going to need somebody who professes to be a mental health specialist to understand that it is possible to cause harm even if you didn't know. Intention versus impact. Next, I have written down emotional intelligence is a responsibility. That is our responsibility for each of us. It's each of our responsibilities to do the work that we need to do to heal, to do the work that we need to repair, to do the work that we need to do to show up as a better human to other people. That's our responsibility. And I really hope that through this situation that there is some accountability that comes out, because the way that it's being handled right now is definitely not becoming of a daughter ever on the altar. It's not giving that at all. We need to get to the altar and ask for some forgiveness and do better. That would be the wisest thing to do, to show, yes, I have grown over the past 25 years and know that's not who I am anymore. When I did the last episode of Gathered with Gail Hutchinson, one of the things that she said is we need to increase the distance between a stimulus and a response. And I saw a couple comments that were in here earlier, like they bullying. Like, yes, that's exactly what that's called, the cyberbullying. And I'm also certain that they feel bullied, right? And called out, right? Because my classmate could have chosen not to share the names, but also as someone who has been told that they're lying often, I get it. That it was like, no, y'all gonna get these receipts because go ask somebody because this and they was there and this happened because y'all want to sit here and say I'm a liar. I get that too. But nonetheless, the distance between stimulus and response basically means something happens and I need to increase the amount of time that it takes before I respond. And let's talk about the difference between reacting and responding. Because reaction is what we immediately do. The response is what we think about after we allow that moment to pause for reflection. And many of us have found ourselves in situations, myself included, because we reacted and we didn't respond. And it's a lot of reactions that's happening in this situation that's going on, and there aren't responses. So remember, we talked about brain research, right? We talked about how when we are in our downstairs brain, we feel like we're in survival mode: fight, flight, freeze, fawn, friend, response, right? And this situation is feeling like a trigger, it's a threat, right? When we are in our downstairs brain, we are not able to move into our upstairs brain where we are able to think and rationalize and be empathetic. So what do we need to do is we need to use our coping strategies to get ourselves out of survival mode so that we are able to help ourselves to feel safe so that we can have a response that we are proud of. And maybe they're proud of it. Maybe they're proud. I'm not. I'm not proud of what's happening. But maybe they are. So I don't even want to, maybe y'all proud about how y'all been out here acting. But we really have to take a beat to be able to help ourselves access the best of ourselves. I think that is the responsibility. Because if I react without thinking, I can cause harm to myself and to others. And I would think at this point in life, that's not what we want to do. I would think, might be an assumption, but I would think at this point in life that that's what we got to do. So I want us to take this as an example of thinking about how we can do a better job of showing up, a better job of honoring ourselves, a better job of taking accountability, a better job of giving ourselves a moment to access the part of our brain that will allow us to make the best response. And I want to add on to that, particularly to the point of sisterhood. We need to have intentional instruction about what it means to be a sister. Many of us grew up in spaces where we have parents that sowed divisiveness. Some of us grew up in spaces where we never had a sister. Some of us grew up in spaces where our conversations with our sisters and our interactions with our sisters were toxic. Some of us have grown up in spaces where things were very catty and jealous, and you talking about somebody behind their back and all that kind of stuff. We have to be taught how to be sisterly. And it is something that I try to be so intentional about because I realize how many of us are existing in spaces where we are encountering harm and causing harm because we're not being intentional. And sisterhood is not limited to a sorority. There are different ways to be in sisterhood and to be in community with people, but particularly for our sororities. The instruction when we are taking in new lines should be this is what it means to be a sister. Let's talk about what it means to actually show up in a sisterly manner and holding each other accountable for that to happen. Because I definitely know my experience was about ostracizing. If certain people didn't go through a certain process, then they're ostracized. And we've seen that across our organizations. Somebody being paper versus somebody being made versus somebody pledged versus this and that. Like, and that is not the core of our organizations. Again, all of our organizations are community service organizations. I'll never forget when I had moved to Tampa, I was working actually in Lakeland. So I used to work at Walgreens. And I had a plate on my car with a Delta Sigma Theta plate on my car. And somebody came into the store. And of course, they, if you know, right? So I'm in Lakeland, Florida. There's not a whole lot of black people in here. So she walks around and finds me. And she was like, "Is that your car out there with the Delta plate?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, I ain't seen you at none of the meetings." And I was like, "Because I haven't been there. Not that you came in here to try to check me. Girl, if you don't get out my damn face." It wasn't an invitation of, "Hey, soror, like, I haven't seen you at the meetings. I want to invite you to, we meet every such and such. Like, here's my number. Let me be sisterly and show you community." It was very much like, "Well, I ain't seen you doing X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C." Girl, get out my damn face. That kind of energy, that's not sisterly, just in case y'all did not know. That's not sisterly. So, I don't know what this looks like as far as affecting change from big sorority, big Delta, big AKA, big Zeta, big SG Row. But what I do know is that each of us has the opportunity to make an impact on the people that we are connected to. I am somebody who tries to be an advocate for getting to know people on a personal level. So, like, even with my chapter, our chapter had gotten suspended for 10 years, not being sisterly. And when the chapter came back, there were people that were feeling some type of way because the new girls didn't know the old things and they were holding that against them. And I thought that was very odd because I was like, well, how are they supposed to know? We did them a disservice. Well, it wasn't us, but those of us who have come before them did a disservice. It's not their fault. So why are you blaming them? Are you coming over here to teach them? To show them, to embrace them, to give them an opportunity to learn and grow and connect to the roots of our organization? Are you coming over here to enact harm because you have perceived power? Like, what is this? We have to do better. We really do. We really have to do better. And I mean across all of our organizations, and I mean across all of our communities. So, y'all soul work is to tell me in the comments what are the characteristics of a safe community that you feel need to be present. If you are not a sister, think in concepts of community. If you are a sister, what does this look like to be in sisterhood with other women? What do you need to have in place for it to feel safe? Okay. So I gave you my list and I'll read it out again just in case. I have accountability, transparency, integrity, vulnerability, intentionality, and a commitment to getting to the roots of the answer. Those are the things that I have down. All right. I also want to uplift again if you are interested in being a part of the Sisterhood Heals book study. It won't be starting until September because I need, a few weeks to kind of get it organized and stuff. I do recommend you all getting the audio book. Okay. But if you choose to get an actual physical copy, I'm going to put the Amazon link, my Amazon link, into the chat. So at least I could get a couple cents. Okay. Um, but if you want to be a part of that book study, please do go to the description and sign up for the book study because we've got to have these conversations. And what I'm going to ask you is why do you want to be a part of this space? And then also, what agreements do you want to contribute? So, back to our soul work. What characteristics, words, agreements do you need to have in place in order for a community to feel safe? All right. So, that's what I'm going to be asking you on the form. I think that's it for today. So this is a quote by Felicia Rashad, who is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and known to many of us as Claire Huxtable, along with many other roles that she has had over her long career. But this quote says, "Sisterhood is acceptance. Sisterhood is understanding. Sisterhood is compassion." And I just want to add on to that sisterhood is our way to learn more about ourselves, to learn how to hold space for others. It is the way that we pass down the recipes. It is the way that we are able to care for ourselves and each other in ways that this world has not shown up for us. So I really want us to take this as a serious charge to do an evaluation of how you have shown up as a sister and how people have shown up for you. There are those of us who are looking for these safe communities. Please connect, come into this community. There are places where you are able to feel seen and heard and accepted and validated. All right. So that's it. That's all that I have for today. Child, the block's gonna be hot, so I need y'all to throw some sunflowers, child, into the comments and that's all right. I hope that anger leads you to making a different choice about how you were showing up with other people and how you were showing up with the other women in your life. If you, again, are not a part of a sisterhood, think of things in terms of community. And y'all have to hit me to what happens in the brotherhood because I don't really know what what y'all be doing over there with the brothers. Okay. All right. So that's it. That's all. I love y'all so much. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Frolicking Truth, where joy meets justice and our nervous systems get free. Please be sure to like, rate, and comment. Subscribe to the YouTube page, Minding My Black Ass Business, and follow me on all social platforms. Until next time.